Welcome to the Fitness Professional Online Radio Show, where you get access to fitness industry news, tips, and insights from professionals around the world. Visit us at fitnessprofessionalonline.com. And now your host, Doug Holt.
Hello and welcome to Fitness Professional Online Radio. I am your host, Doug Holt, and we've got a great show for you today. It's been a while since we've had a new show for you. We've got a lot going on in the background at Fitness Professional Online. We have Phase 2 of our site releasing in mid-February. With that, we have the new newsletter coming out. Thank you for those of you that have already signed up for that. You'll be getting a special treat in your inbox. If you haven't had a chance, go to fitnessprofessionalonline.com. There's a newsletter sign-up form there for you. We never spam. There's an optional opt-out button there for you to click on anytime if you decide you're getting too many emails or you don't want to get them from us for any reason. We also really appreciate your feedback. Again, a big thank you to those of you that took the time to go to iTunes and gave some honest feedback and ratings about the show. We're always trying to improve, and we greatly appreciate that. That does help our rankings and allows us to bring the show to you a little bit more regularly and to upgrade some of our editing devices here as we continue to do that. We do have blogs releasing in mid-February with Phase 2 as well. These are blogs from experts from around the world. They'll be sharing tips with you on a regular basis to help you with your business as well as helping you with your clients. We also have one of our mastermind groups opening up in mid-February. We have several going right now, and it's been a great success for everybody, a lot of positive feedback, so much so that we've actually decided to open up another mastermind group. So if you like information on that, you can go to the website, or you can actually shoot us an email here at info@fitnessprofessionalonline.com. We'll be releasing video and article product reviews. We've gone to a professional video studio with Ask Photography, has actually been filming these for us. The only problem is I am actually the first one on the video that's doing the reviews. So please bear with that a little bit. Hopefully we'll get somebody that's a little more camera ready to get those up for you. But they are honest reviews, so we don't get paid anything to do the reviews. So we're just giving you our honest feedback based on our experience with well over a decade of experience in the industry. We also have a job board coming up. This was something that several people sent in asking questions about where to get a job, and during some of these tough economic times, how do you actually find a job? So we're actually going to put a job board on the forum. There are some other job boards out on the internet, but we feel that we can put this in one place and help you guys get information. Link great fitness professionals with job owners. So hopefully you'll be seeing that in mid-February. And while I'm recording this, I actually have sent my staff. I do own a personal training studio in Santa Barbara, California. And I've sent several of my staff members down to perform better for the weekend. So while I'm here with you and with Kathy Gruver, who's going to be our guest today on the phone, they're out there actually getting the hands-on experience as well as a practical experience and visiting with friends. It's a great way to reconnect with friends in the industry and make some new ones. On Facebook already, as I'm looking at it right now on my other computer, I can see that several people and several of you actually are at the same show or commenting about it. So hope you're having a great time there, or had a great time by the time you hear this show. Today we got a great guest here, Kathy Gruver. I've known Kathy for several years now, and she's just absolutely amazing, a wealth of knowledge. So actually, Doctor Kathy Gruver, I should say. She is the author of the Alternative Medicine Cabinet, and she's earned her doctorate as a traditional naturopath and PhD in natural health. She has studied mind-body medicine at the famed Benson Henry Institute for mind-body medicine at Harvard Medical School and pursued further education at the National Institutes of Health. Kathy has also been featured as an expert in countless publications and has written dozens of health and wellness articles. She has appeared as a guest expert on over 50 radio shows, including this one here today, and has done over 40 educational lectures around the country. In addition to maintaining a natural health and medical massage practice in Santa Barbara, California, Kathy offers phone and email health consultations. She has also produced an instructional massage DVD, Therapeutic Massage at Home, Learn to Rub People the Right Way, and is a practitioner with over 20 years of experience. She obviously knows what she's doing. Kathy was featured on Lifetime Television's The Balancing Act in 2011, speaking about natural health, and is in development with a network in Los Angeles for her own TV show. So, You can find her bio as well as her website in the show notes and on fitnessprofessionalonline.com. As you can tell, Kathy is very, very busy. One of the busiest people I know. So without further ado, this call, I'm sure, is going to be a long one. So let's get into Kathy Gruver.
All right, we're with Kathy Gruver. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Doug. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I know you just finished a workout and you got a lot on your plate, and something we always joke about is how busy the two of us are. Kathy and I met many years ago when I was running a magazine that you wrote for us, and since then and even before then, your writing resume is enormous, to say the least.
You know, I work one-on-one with clients, as so many of us do, and it's so great to be able to put articles out there or do radio shows or books. I'm working on, I have a book out, to be able to reach a broader audience at one time. It maximizes that time and that energy and gets the word out about health, and that's what my objective is.
Speaking of your resume, when you're looking over where you've come from, where you are now, and where you're going, give us a little bit insight into you and kind of how you got started into this health and wellness field and, kind of the progression you went through.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. I had this real double life. I grew up in Pittsburgh, huge Steeler fan, grew up with a dad who wanted a son, and I was the only daughter, so I was out running around with the boys and playing football, so I was always athletic and into sports and fitness and that sort of thing. But I was actually a theater major. I majored in theater in college back east, and even though I started acting in 5th grade and I thought my life progression would be moving to LA, which I did, and pursuing the acting career, which I did, I thought, I was going to be the next door neighbor on Friends. Never quite got to that point in my career. But what was interesting is while I was also acting, I also had this really huge interest in natural health and alternative medicine. And even as a little kid, I was attracted to things like massage and herbs and crystals and anything that I thought that would be not Western medicine. Of course, I didn't have the words for it that I know now, but I would sit behind my dad on long car trips and rub his neck so he didn't get headaches. And this I was like 6 and 7 years old. I just gravitated towards that type of care. And my mom got sick when I was 13 and died when I was 18 of cancer. And even at that age, I remember thinking, wow, is there not something else other than chemo and radiation and surgery that could help her get better? So even as a theater major, I was looking into alternative remedies, and I was studying massage. I studied with a woman very accidentally during one of our children's theaters, and I ended up apprenticing with her for 3 summers before I moved to LA, and she was a huge influence. She was the person that told me that I could do it and that I knew what I was doing and that I instinctively had the gift to put my hands on people and help them. So I moved to Los Angeles to pursue the acting career and studied more massage, and then moved up to Santa Barbara and studied more massage and studied with a school out of Florida, and realized that just wasn't enough. I didn't want to just do hand to muscle, elbow to muscle. I wanted to deal with people's nutrition and their lifestyle and mind-body medicine and really look into that triad of health, which is body, mind, spirit. We can't separate them out and not include them all. So I went back to school and got my master's and my PhD. I've been to Harvard twice now for continuing education, and I studied with the National Institutes of Health, and I go to 3 or 4 conferences a year, and I devour medical books like they're going out of style. That's what I read for fun. People think I'm crazy. But I'm a big medical nerd. I like the alternative medicine, but I also like knowing about Western medicine, because I think we have to combine the two and make that a marriage for better health and take advantage of both aspects that we have an offer of in this country. So, yeah, I'm constantly studying. I don't ever see it ending, and I'm trying to find a more structured way to put that into my schedule, maybe take 3 hours a week to listen to podcasts or read a medical book or, go study with someone. So it's huge, and I don't feel like I'm done, even though I got my PhD this year.
Which is excellent. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a journey.
I think it's so great. I mean, you start off with an apprenticeship program, which I think is so important. I think a lot of people miss those kind of things. I mean, maybe it's not a formalized program, but studying under somebody that's kind of been there, done that, and learning what you like about what they do and what you don't like, and kind of finding your own way.
I do. I love that. And it's so frustrating because we've gotten into a society where it all matters, how many hours do you have on paper and which school did you go to and what letters are after your name, which I didn't care that I had a PhD, but it seemed that everybody else cared if I had a PhD. So I do a lot of public speaking, and you're just taken more seriously if you can call yourself doctor. And on one hand, I think that's really ridiculous because I probably would have gained the same knowledge without the formalized long-term expensive program, but those letters mean something. And one of my frustrations, especially with the massage business, is, oh, how many hours do you have? On paper, because I started 22 years ago and I did a lot of apprenticing and things like that, on paper, I don't have a lot of hours because you didn't need them back then, But if I would go, and I am state licensed, but they don't count that I studied for 3 years with this woman. It doesn't matter because you didn't get a piece of paper. And I'm a darn good massage therapist. And I've met massage therapists who have never been trained a day in their life, and they're phenomenal. And I've met some that have 1,000 hours of training from the top school in the country, and they're terrible. They can pass a multiple choice test, but they don't have the instinctive touch for it. And I think that's so much of healing, whether it's personal training and the things that you offer at your studio or in my office. So much of it is this inborn ability to touch people and help them heal and help them be more fit and healthier. And I think the piece of paper only goes so far.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We had Sean Croxton on a couple of weeks ago, and he's from Underground Wellness, and he jokes around about he got his college degree, exercise physiology, nutrition, from San Diego, but he got his master's degree from Amazon.com. And I thought that was so poignant, he found out what he was learning wasn't working and really just went after it, just like yourself. And we're all in a group that I classify fondly as exercise, or science nerds, basically, reading everything we can. And I think it's fantastic. What I wanted to ask you is, I was telling people that I was having you on. There's a lot of excitement. A lot of people want to know your background, how you got there. What surprised me a little bit is a few people said, well, gee, what is natural health and why should I be concerned with it as a fitness professional? And that really kind of shocked me. So I want to throw that out to you and see kind of what your response would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very confusing term, especially with an older generation. I mean, you turn to my father's friends and say, oh, yeah, I'm in natural health, and they look at you like, what are you waving, like olive branches over my head and chanting with funky rocks with a, turban? And, I mean, there's all these, and that's kind of how it's portrayed in the media as well. The sitcom where they go to the mysterious woman with the tea in the back room, and, that's still how it's often portrayed, which is a little frustrating. Natural health is really mainstream. Frankly, what you guys kind of do is natural health. I mean, really helping people with their fitness, talking about nutrition, massage, acupuncture, chiropractic, all of those things, those non-allopathic things, the non-Western medicine things. If it's drugs, if it's surgery, it's not natural health for the most part. Homeopathy, naturopathy, any of those things that your regular doctor's not going to tell you to go do, typically, is what natural health is. It's turning back to nature and getting our bodies to a point where they can kick in and heal themselves. Because I believe if we give, just like a plant, if we give it what it needs, it's going to do what it's supposed to. And I look at that from a threefold perspective. I think we need to cut out things that we don't need, whether it's soda or MSG or high fructose corn syrup or artificial sweetener. And then I think we need to add back in the things that we need that we're not getting. Maybe it's a vitamin, maybe it's a mineral, maybe it's a certain exercise. And then the third one is then let's put things on top. Maybe it is a prescription. Maybe it's homeopathics. Maybe it's an herb. But I think if we follow those three steps, and the most important is to get rid of stuff first, and I think that's where Western medicine misses the mark, is it just piles more prescriptions and surgeries and procedures on top of things that are already not working, rather than let's eliminate the things that aren't helping the body. And so I think if we follow that trail, then I think we can be healthier and incorporate that natural health into maybe whatever we have to do from a Western perspective.
Absolutely. I think that's so great. I know so many people that have gone the elimination method and found that so many of their ailments have gone away, whether eliminating gluten, dairy, alcohol, the list can go on, and slowly adding things back in to kind of discover what works for their personal body.
Exactly.
I think that's just the way it's going to be going.
It is. Well, it has to. It has to. And what's so great about what you guys do and the opportunities that the fitness professionals have is going to a personal trainer or going to a gym, that's totally accepted in this society. Especially if you're working one-on-one with someone, you basically have a captive audience in a safe place to share with them your knowledge and help them expand their health into other areas. And that's the great advantage of having massage as a base for what I do. People don't walk in my office and say, hi, I'd like to hear about how my thoughts are affecting my body and making me sick. Nobody knows that they want to hear that. But when they get on the massage table, it's a safe place. They trust me. They know I'm knowledgeable about things. If it comes out of the time of that massage, then they're going to be receptive to it, they're going to hear it, and they're going to go, oh, I never thought about it from that perspective. So that's the advantage you have as a fitness professional is you've got that person there for, an hour doing the training. That's a time that they're probably sharing health issues with you, and you can talk to them about other options, whether it's go get a massage or, oh, you might want to try Reiki, or, hey, how about a nutritional change, or maybe an acupuncturist would help. We have a great advantage in that people are coming to us for something that's now mainstream, and we can introduce other things. It's a huge advantage.
And I think it's great. I couldn't agree with you more. Just based on the feedback from this show, we have several doctors, chiropractors, allopathic medicine, acupuncturists. But again, I would say, based on the emails that we've gotten from our previous show, probably 80-85% are personal trainers that are listening in. And I know that, at least for myself and the people that I know that I've worked with throughout the world, a lot of us, we're always constantly trying to learn new things. At what point, Kathy, should a personal trainer or even somebody else utilize their knowledge that they've picked up on natural medicine, and at what point should they say, hey, wait, this is way beyond my scope of practice. I need to refer out to a naturopathic doctor?
Right, and that's a fine line. Way before I started studying this intensely, people understood that I had an understanding and a grasp and a knowledge, and they trust you as a health professional. And so they start to almost push you past your scope of practice. I mean, I remember having clients many, many years ago saying, what should they do for their heart problems? And, hey, they're diabetic, what do you recommend? Well, that was way at that point out of my scope of practice. I think you kind of know if you find yourself dredging for answers and feeling like you're making stuff up. As massage therapists and the type of naturopath that I am, I'm not allowed to prescribe and diagnose. I can assess their situation. I can make recommendations just like a health food store would, but I'm not allowed to say, oh, you have diabetes, you should blah, blah, blah. Can't do that. So I think a lot of it is phrasing and watching what we're saying. I do a lot of radio interviews, and I've had people say, oh, when you diagnose someone, and I immediately stop them and say, no. I do not diagnose. That's up to a medical doctor to diagnose. So you just have to kind of be careful with your phrasing of things. And if you find yourself telling somebody what they should be doing, then you're kind of skirting the line. And we also know, we know if we're a chiropractor or not. We know if we're an acupuncturist or not. So there's certain things that are blatantly out of our scope of practice. And I don't know if in your business you get a lot of people sharing all their emotional stories with you where you're borderline psychologist. I have people, lay on my table and tell me everything. And it's so difficult to not move into being their psychotherapist. And we kind of have to be careful with that as well. I recommend a lot of books. I refer people to other psychologists, or I'll share a similar story that I went through. I'll say, hey, well, I had a similar situation. Here's how I handled it. But I would never say, oh, well, you need to, blah, 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 because we're not supposed to. We're not allowed. We can not only get in trouble, that can be harmful if people start relying on us for their psychotherapy.
I couldn't agree more. We have a saying here when we do our apprenticeship program. We have a 200-hour one that we run out of the studio, and we have people coming from all over. And we always just tell them, when in doubt, just refer out.
Yep, of course.
But the practical application, I know with your field and ours, is you do get people telling you everything about themselves. I had actually a woman coming in who was training with another trainer, just struck up a conversation at a studio with her, and realized that they spent most of their session just chatting, didn't mention it to her. And she looked at me and said, you know what, this is cheaper and better than actually going to my therapist.
Yeah.
I was just taken back by that. I couldn't believe it. And just being in the field, though, sometimes you don't see the forest for the trees.
Right. But I also think I have massage therapist friends who they don't want to hear the person's story. They don't want them crying about their dead cat. They don't want to hear about the divorce. They want to rub them and send them on their way. And I think that's a huge disadvantage because to me, if the person on my table or in my office needs to have that emotional release, and they need to talk about it, and they need to cry, and hug me afterwards because their husband left or their cat is dead or, whatever the situation is, who am I to say, oh, that's not appropriate for this environment? They're healing. They're letting it out. Clearly it needs to happen. If it didn't happen with their friend, if it didn't happen with their therapist, if it dumps on me, I take that, I process it, I try not to therapize them, then I send them on their way. But I've had so many people crying in my office. Sometimes it's me over whatever the issue is, especially when I do Reiki treatments. Reiki is a phenomenal emotional healing technique, and I've had numerous people burst into tears in the middle of a Reiki session. It just happens. You prepare for that. We did my Reiki training. My Reiki master was telling me some of the experiences she had on her table with people just having these huge breakdowns and just crying and sobbing, and terrified me. I'm thinking, oh my God, what do I do with someone that loses it on my table? And she said, Kathy, you are never given more than you can handle. And I thought about that. People who really, really just lose it on my table, and I think, I can handle this, or else this would not be happening to me right now, and I just hold the space with them, and I hand them the Kleenex, and I hold their hand to do whatever they need at that moment. And it's always worked out. There's never been some big tragedy from it.
No, and there is. And you develop a bond with people, and I think despite what the textbooks say, and I've taught out of textbooks for so long, and I know you have, people are people. We're humans, and we have emotions, and those emotions are going to get displayed. You can't just draw a line in the sand. It just does not work that way.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you have to absorb it, but, as you get more experience, it sounds like obviously you're great at it. It's just you have to deflect at some points too.
Yeah, and it gets really difficult. I mean, I work with cancer patients, and I've got people who are in severe amounts of pain and terminally ill and disabled, and there are some days it's really an emotional drain, and I'm really lucky that I have a husband that I can come home and kind of dump it on him, and he's not affected by it the way I am. So there's been numerous dinners where I've sat down and cried because so-and-so's dying or so-and-so was in so much pain they couldn't roll over without help, and it really tugs on you. I'm so raw emotionally. I mean, I cry at everything, but I don't for my clients. I can hold it together and then I have to let it out later. So luckily I have a good man who I can cry over dinner with.
You got to have a team, right? You got to have a team.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you're extremely knowledgeable. You study all the time, and which impresses me. Something that also has always impressed me in following you is your business savvy. I mean, you're not just sitting there reading a book and then going into the clinic practicing, but you're also getting yourself out there. Tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about kind of what you're up to in your business life, how you're kind of expanding. You have a couple products out there, book, DVD. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my take on running any business, even if it's just yourself, and I learned this really quick when I landed in LA to be an actor. You can be the greatest actor in the world. You can have beautiful pictures, but if you sit at home staring at your own photo, you're never going to get a role. You really have to pound the pavement, and be your own promoter. And I was the product in Los Angeles, and I was constantly going to places where I had to schmooze with agents or casting people. I was going to, anything I could to get my name out there. And when I moved up here and wasn't acting anymore, I thought, well, it's the exact same thing. I have to promote me as the business, and that's what I did. So I started out doing really fun ads, and I think SB Fitness, which was your magazine, was the first one I advertised in. I did some writing for you, and, to me, you need to keep your name out there. It's not enough to hang a shingle and sit there and hope that people find you. I think it takes longer that way. And I know some very successful massage therapists who say they've never advertised, it's been all word of mouth. I'm sure that works, but I didn't trust it for me. I needed to be more proactive with that. I tend to be outcome-based, very go-getter, move, move, move. I know you're the same way. So I've advertised in pretty much every newspaper and magazine in town, some with great success, some with, oh my God, why did I spend that money? I'm all over the internet. One of the first things I did was get a website, and I was one of the first massage therapists, 11 years ago when I started in this town to have a website. I'm in all the phone books. I've dropped that a little bit because they're kind of becoming obsolete, but for the older clients, it's still easier to pick up a phone book than it is to try to Google somebody. You get overloaded with information. And, I gave a lot of stuff away when I started my business. I was at a lot of sporting events doing free chair massage. I would go into offices and do chair massage and meet people. I was giving away gift certificates to every charity that ever contacted me to give one. And to me, I felt like you needed to do that to get your name out there. And now I just had my 10-year anniversary being in practice, a whole decade of massaging people in Santa Barbara, over 10,000, probably well over 10,000 people. And, I get just as many compliments on my business practice, like you were saying, as I do my massage practice. I just have a good head for it. I grew up watching my dad run a small business and seeing his struggles and what he did to try to make it work, and I'm sure I learned from that. I don't know, I just have the head for it. That's the way my brain works. I'm very lucky that way.
Well, 10 years, that's a huge accomplishment, especially coming out of a recession and an economy that wasn't so good the last few years. Kept on doing great. I think a lot of people, especially that get into the health and wellness field, whether it be fitness, chiropractic, or massage therapy, we get into it to help people. We're usually more kinesthetic people. We want to be moving around as well as being kinetic. And I think the gist of it goes to the wayside. There's very few people who realize that, hey, this is a business. If I want to help somebody, I have to run it like a business so more people know about me.
Right.
You've obviously done a fantastic job of that.
Oh, thank you. I remember, getting phone calls, maybe randomly on a weekend to do a massage. And I remember calling this one woman back, and she goes, "Oh, thank you for calling me back." And I said, "Well, of course, why wouldn't I?" And she said, "I've called 10 therapists. You're the only one that's called me back."
Wow.
You can't run a business that way. And, to me, it's like, well, that's kind of sad that I'm getting your business because I'm the only one that called you back, but hell, I'll take it. If I'm the only one, and even if I couldn't see the people, I would call them back. Hey, that's not going to work for me today. Maybe you offer them a different day and time. But I remember people, were up for the weekend and I just didn't have the time. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I can't see you this time. But, enjoy your stay in Santa Barbara. Keep my number, and the next time you're coming up, give me a call, and we'll book that in advance for you." And they went, "Oh, okay." 6 months later, I get a phone call. "Hey, it's us again. We're coming up. We'd like to book you."
I think some people call that customer service, and I think other people call it just being a good person.
I've heard of those two things, and I think they're starting to lack. Yeah, I know.
I agree.
Customer service. Oh. But also, and then, like you mentioned, I moved on and I did a massage DVD to teach people to do massage at home. And then I wrote my first book, which came out last year and was just selected as a finalist for an Indie Excellence Award, which was very cool. And I'm working on my second book, and I'm looking for a literary agent. And, you just can't stop. I can't stop moving into the next phase.
I can relate. I think that's great. We'll put links in the show notes to Kathy's DVD, her book, and her website. And if you're going to come out here to beautiful Santa Barbara, then you definitely need to stop by and see her. But if you can't make it, those books and DVDs, you can get them all online, correct, Kathy?
Yeah, they're all on my website, and then, of course, also everything's on Amazon as well.
Perfect. I'll put links on those for you, for everybody else listening. When you talk about social media, I would say, at least for our business, social media has been one of the best things for us, which I actually was, like you, I was one of the last people to join Facebook, and LinkedIn I've been on for a long time for business reasons, but I was really apprehensive about it. And, based on traditional advertising for our fitness studio anyway, the fitness business, it's been actually one of the best. And the reason isn't because we're putting ads out there. I think the reason is people are just constantly seeing our brand and our name. So when it does come time to, at a cocktail party or a social event, they may think of our training studio or mention us. So I'm not sure exactly what it's been, but it's been excellent for us thus far. And I know you're all over it, and I see you all the time.
That's a really good point. It does refresh it keeps you in somebody's memory. Absolutely. That is definitely true.
Yeah. From years of owning the magazine, we used to, at least for sales, we tell people, and this is supposed to be true in advertising, is you look at Coca-Cola, Budweiser, they're the biggest companies, everybody knows who they are, but they also have the largest advertising budgets just because they want people constantly seeing their logo and their brand out there.
Right.
I think that's evident. Well, you've done a great job of it. I see you all the time on social media, and you always have quality, and I think that's the difference. You always have quality things to post, so it's always interesting. And then I think, geez, Kathy's got a PhD, award-winning book, a DVD, and now is writing a second book. I am such a slacker.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, you're such a slacker.
A lot of people listening to this call have aspirations of doing their own DVD, their own book. And I know this could be a whole 12-week episode, but what are some nuggets you would say for somebody that's interested in actually producing something? They have the knowledge and they've had these ideas of, hey, look, I want a DVD, I want a book. What are some first steps people could take to actually fulfill their dreams in that regard?
Well, the first thing I have to say is I was delusional when I started these projects. I had this fabulous idea for this DVD. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's going to be hugely successful," and blah, 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 blah. And I've got this great product, and I've got 1,000 of them in the garage. And what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Because the challenge is, and I ran into more walls, and you know me, I'll just climb over them or I'll bust through them, but these were thick walls. And I thought, oh, well, I'll put it on Amazon. That's perfect. That's huge. That's where everyone buys their stuff. Yeah, but who thinks to look for a home massage DVD? So how do you find that it's even on there? And then I thought, oh, well, I'll get it into stores. I'll be in Kmart, and I'll be in Walmart, and I'll be in – good luck. With one product, it is extraordinarily difficult to get into any of the big stores. So I'm in the local stores. I'm at Paradise Found, and I'm at Whole Foods, and I was at Chaucer's for a while. But even the local stores, because Whole Foods is a chain, I had to go through mounds of paperwork as if I was selling them all of their groceries. some words and terms I had to fill out on these sheets, and I'm like, I don't even know what this word is. Thank God for Google, because it helped me fill out these forms. So what I've learned is it's not so much having a phenomenal product, it's how in the world do you get that to market. And it is so complicated now because anybody can have a product to take to market. Anybody can be a writer with print on demand. Anybody can be a filmmaker with YouTube and their cell phone. Anybody can, it's gotten really difficult, and not to discourage anybody from doing it, but go in with your eyes wide open. I still have a lot of DVDs in my basement. I'm proud of what I've sold. It's done really well. I got national distribution, which also had its challenges, and I've not sold nearly the amount I expected to. I don't know that at this point I've made my money back from producing it. The book I wrote for the purpose of my speaking, because speakers bureaus won't even talk to you unless you have a book. And I said, but I have a DVD. And they said, I don't care, where's your book? So one of the main reasons I wrote the book was not only to share knowledge with people, of course, but also to have something to sell back of room. And then, of course, I put it on Amazon, and I have it in a couple stores, and, it's been reviewed all over the country and things like that. But again, that's a challenge because publishing is really difficult now. I mean, publishing's not. You can self-publish, until you're blue in the face. But again, how do you find that on Amazon? How do you get that into bookstores? It's really a challenge. It's time-consuming. It's expensive. Going the traditional publishing route is what I really want to do for my second book. And I have a friend who she got an agent a year ago. She just found out her book's being published. She's signing contracts right now. That's so exciting. Still doesn't mean anyone's going to read it or that you're going to be able to find it anywhere. It's a challenge. Yeah. But my thing is, if you want to write a book, write it. Self-publish it, put it on Amazon, sell it out of your store, sell it out of your car, walk down the street and tell everyone you have it. Don't not do it because it's going to be challenging, but understand it's not going to be a cakewalk. That was a very long answer. But
No. And very accurate in the same. I've heard the same from just about Robert Sharma, who's a famous writer. Self-help. His story is that he and his dad went to swap meets and sold books, and they were selling in the back of the car, and he did that for years. You read articles about him being an overnight success, but it's that classic story of the overnight success, not an overnight success.
Right.
And you've done it as well. I know you've done a lot of article writing also to golf and your products, right? And
right.
On the shows like this one, et cetera. And that's something else people could try to do or strive for.
Absolutely, and that it's using that medium to get your product out there. And even if you go the traditional route and you get an agent, you get a publisher, you still have to do so much of your own promotion. And I've heard that from numerous people as well. They thought, "Yay, I have a publisher now," and they still don't get, the help that they need to advertise their own book. So they're the ones trying to line up book signings. They're the ones trying to get radio shows. I have a PR guy who sent out press releases to 12,000 media nationwide. And I ended up on a bunch of radio shows. I got my book reviewed a bunch. I ended up getting a gig on Lifetime Television out of it. But you have to spend money. You have to spend money promoting your book. And I hate to say this because it sounds horrible, but the more money you have, the more promotion you can do and the more success you're going to find. And, it depresses me that that's the way it is, but not that you can buy success, but you can buy the promotion that'll help you achieve things. And that drives me crazy.
Sounds like politics.
Yeah, a little bit.
You've done a tremendous job. Well, what's next for you? You've got so much. I know you got a book coming up. Tell us a little bit about that and tell us what's next for Kathy Gruver.
Yeah, I am working on my second book on mind-body medicine. That has been a huge interest for me, and I've just done 2 classes at Harvard on mind-body medicine. So I'm taking everything I learned through my 22 years of massage practice, plus all that I've read, plus all that I've learned recently, and I'm turning that into a book specifically for massage therapists and then also for the general public. And fingers crossed, I am very, very close to having my own TV show. I've been working with a network in LA, and I thought it was completely off. I thought it was gone. I thought it was done. I packed up my things and went, okay, I'll work on my book. And then I got a call 3 nights ago saying, we're back on and we want to start in January. We'll see if it happens. It could still completely fall apart, but it would be probably about 35-minute segments that would run on regular network as well as the internet that are little quick, like 5-minute health tips, and me doing very short interviews with experts in their field. So I have my fingers crossed that that's going to happen. So that's hopefully what's next for me.
Fantastic. Oh,
yeah, and then I want to be on Dancing with the Stars. That's the ultimate goal.
Naturally.
Of course.
Well, Kathy, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I'm going to put, again, for everybody listening, I'll put links to Kathy's website, to her books and DVDs on the show notes and on fitnessprofessionalonline.com. I got to end with one question for you.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
What do you miss about your childhood?
I miss playing. How sad is that? Yeah, I miss just running around outside with a football and playing with friends, and I don't play. I don't think adults play enough, so I think we need to play more.
I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to get a remote football game going.
Oh, that would be great. Or like tag or duck, duck, goose. Why don't we do that as adults? Because we can't run as fast, fall down and hurt ourselves. We'll skin knees. I don't know. Yeah, we need to play more.
I agree. Oh, that's great. Well, again, Kathy, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I know you got a lot on your plate and a lot going on this weekend, so thank you again for being here.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.
All right, that's it for our show today. I want to thank Kathy Gruver, and I want to thank you, the listener. Without you, we wouldn't actually have a show, so I really, really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for all the feedback, for those of you that have submitted emails to us letting us know what we could do better and what you'd like to see on the show. There's a lot that could be covered, and there's not a lot of coverage in our industry, so we'd like to be that sounding board for you. So let us know what we can do. And we'd also appreciate it if you take a moment, if you feel like you like the show, to rate us in iTunes. Your honest feedback is always appreciated, and we're trying to get better here. And without further ado, wanted to say, hey, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Fitness Professional Online Radio Show. You can share your thoughts and join the discussion on this episode by going to our website or on facebook.com/fitproonline. Let us know what you'd like to hear on future shows. And please feel free to contact us via email or give us a call at 805-500-6893. We look forward to hearing from you.